I see, I'm not sure I like these glasses. You have to, you look, I can't see anything. And you got, well, they're graduated. Good evening, 7 o'clock. I'd like to call this meeting of the Inland Wetlands Commission to order. First order of business, approval of the minutes of the October 2021 regular meeting. Has everyone had a chance to look at the minutes? Any corrections, deletions, additions, anything? Cinto, motion to approve. A second?
Second.
John Waite, all in favor? Okay. Old business. 2021-13, 20-lot subdivision, Broadbridge Avenue, Ronald Road, Teakwood Drive Associates, applicant Teakwood Estates. This is tabled. We need a motion to take it off the table.
Make a motion to take it off the table.
John Waite, a second. Dennis Waite, all in favor? All right. Okay, so we have this application before us, and in your packet prepared by Kelly, she continues to have pages of questions that are still unanswered. I don't think we should spend an awful lot of time. I think this should be tabled, and she can continue to work until we get some kind of answers. There's nothing to discuss. Yes, sir, Mr. McCann. A short one.
Why does he always say that to me? Is there a reason for this?
So the applicant's wetland scientist dropped by my office shortly after our October meeting, and he said that the engineer seems to be a little over his head, and that they're hiring another firm to assist the engineer. So we haven't received anything additional.
Cool.
So they're bringing in the reserves.
That's good.
Yeah, so they just haven't, they're working on all of my questions and getting that information together.
All right. I'll move to table this item.
Motion to table. We have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. That was a very fine discussion, Mr. McCann. Next item, 2021-14, construction 14,000 square foot, 8,000 commercial buildings, 150 Long Beach Boulevard, Assessors Map, 20.5, applicant Benefit Coatings, Inc. This is also tabled. We need a motion to take it off the table. Could I entertain one?
They make a motion to take it off the table.
Mr. Waite? Dr. Chess? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. So, is the applicant or his representative here? And if you-
Yes, Chairman. Manny Silva from Rose Tizo and Company, 35 Brentwood Avenue, Fairfield, Connecticut, representing the applicant for Benefits Coatings. May I present? May I present?
You
Okay.
certainly may.
So the first item, I was asked to furnish a location map, which I handed out prior to the meeting. It's a little bit nicer. Your copies are a little bit nicer than this enlargement. I don't know why. But just to kind of orient where the project is, this is in the Lordship area of Stratford. As you can see here, this is where FedEx Ground is, Lordship Boulevard. And then here's Long Beach Boulevard. There is, this is Bridgeport Fittings, and then the Myers site here. There used to be a, and I'll show you here, as part as I presented it as our alternative. So the previous use of the property was a manufacturing and warehouse, with parking all around it. You can see here, this is your wetland, 100-foot wetland upland review area, which is in this existing parking lot as of right now. And you can see in that aerial photo that the asphalt is still there. The only thing that's gone right now is the building. It's been demolished due to some differential settlement in there. So it was removed, and now Benefits Coating wants to buy the property and build basically a research and development building, which has an office in the front and then some storage in the back with 2 truck loading bays. This is the kind of the elevation. Basic floor plan, as you can see, they have a clean room here, some break rooms, basically an office layout with some laboratories, and then the warehouse in the back. Your standard, I know it's not really what the Wetland Commission is concerned about, but here's the elevation. It's your, basic industrial type building. And then onto the site plan. As you can see here, we have the existing asphalt that's going around, went around the existing building that was here that's now demolished. Here was their loading docks. And the wetland here to the west is basically the wetland that was on the 495 Lordship Boulevard site, which was recently approved and is under construction right now, near completion. It's basically a depressed area that was closed off throughout time, and there's some wetlands there. As you can see here on SP1, the wetlands is about 75 feet or 72 feet from the existing paved area. Our proposal is to remove that pavement and increase the offset, bring the pavement and the buildings outside of that 100-foot upland review area from that wetland off-site. So you can see here, we maintain our entrance here. We are going to get rid of these parking spaces here in the front. We are adding interconnect here in front of the building. The building is here, this 14,400 square feet. We have our turnaround area here for our trucks. And then, as you can see, this kind of gray line is where the existing parking goes to now. And our limit of parking is going to come to here. And then we have a future proposed warehouse here if all goes well. But right now, we're just coming in for this 1440. So we're going to remove this pavement here and just loam and seed it, landscape it. We're going to protect these existing trees that are on the adjacent property as we remove that pavement, so they're not affected. Right now, the site has no stormwater controls. There's some catch basins on site that directly connect to Long Beach Boulevard and out to Long Island Sound. So what we're proposing is new catch basins with snouts in them and a oil water grit separator prior to going into a gallery system, which comprises about 220 lineal feet of 4x4 gallery. And due to the reduction in overall impervious area that we're creating from the previous use and those galleries that we're installing, we're actually going to reduce the amount of volume that comes off of the site into the town system. Basically, from a 2-year storm, the pre-existing discharge was 3 CFS, and we're reducing 3.04 CFS, we're reducing to 2.84 CFS. I'll just pick the 25-year storm, we're reducing it from 9.16 to 6.41, and at the 100-year storm, we're reducing it from 1409 to 1381. So what we're doing is reducing the amount of volume coming off the site from the existing condition, and also we're increasing the water quality by implementing snouts and a secondary water treatment, and then with the water separator, and then some primary treatment is happening when the water goes into the galleries and infiltrates into the ground. That will further treat the water and introduce it into the groundwater versus just discharging it to an outfall in Long Island Sound. So as you can see, here's the galleries. Here's our control structure, which is basically going to control the water that's coming off the site that's filling up these galleries with just a 10-inch hole at the bottom of a weir wall. And then we have an emergency overflow weir here at the top, which is about 4 feet up from the bottom of the galleries. Standard utilities all connecting into Lordship Long Beach Boulevard, which were there prior to when there was a warehouse building here. So during construction, we want to be sensitive to any kind of sediment washing into the street or into adjacent properties. So we have the site circumvented with silt fence with 2 anti-tracking pads, and those are just large stone to knock any mud or anything that's stuck to the wheels of the construction vehicle. So as it comes out into Long Beach Boulevard, that mud gets knocked off and doesn't track into the road and then into the catch basins in the town road. We also have silt sacks. Once our stormwater units or stormwater catch basins are put in, we put silt sacks in them. so that if it is a rain event before we pave and those structures are in, that water flows into the catch basins, and that any kind of sediment or mud gets caught in those silt sacks. And then once we stabilize the site, loam, seed, and pave, we can pull those sacks out, and the structures are clean, the sumps will be clean, and it'll be ready to go as brand new without any contamination. So that's basically our soil and erosion control plan. We have an ornamental landscaping plan here. We have some street trees along the edges of the parking, some ground azaleas and red large grasses here to kind of be an ornamental treatment here at the entrance of the building. Again, we are loam and seeding this existing paved area, and then we're going to add some looks like pin oaks, about 5 pin oaks there to the back. And again, we're going to protect the existing trees that are there just off site as we remove that pavement, so we don't affect the root structure and things of that nature. Then we have our standard details. Here's those silt sacks. This is our soil and erosion control narrative, basically how to go forward with the job during construction to make sure that there's no any soil or any contaminants that leave the site onto adjacent properties or into the road. Contaminants meaning dirt, mud, construction debris, things of that nature. Here's our silt fences, and our silt fencer will be backed by hay bales on the perimeter so that any kind of large storm event, like a hurricane or anything like that, won't push the silt fence over and then discharge that sediment onto the adjacent property. It basically makes the silt fence more structural. And then some of our standard site details, sidewalks, things of that nature, signs, striping, and then again, more details. Here's our galleries, basically what we're going to put in. It's a 4x4 open bottom concrete gallery, so it allows infiltration into the ground to promote that. We used a state detail for our driveway ramps, our utility connections. Here's that snout, that hooded, so these are actually going to go on the outlets of all the catch basins, and that's a hood so that the water, as it fills up, any floatables like oil or bottles gets caught in the catch basin, can't go into the pipe, and the water comes up from underneath. That kind of helps our treatment train so that we can start catching some of those floatables in the catch basins. And even though we have downstream this contact water quality separator, which will do that also, it's just another implement down the train that'll help keep that water clean before it goes into the galleries and into the groundwater. We have our lighting plan. As you can see here, the wetlands is here to the north. It's 0.0 over the property line. So there is no light spillage onto the adjacent property, and the wetlands is about another 72 feet away from there. So there will be no light infiltration into the wetland areas, and even to adjacent properties. Again, this is our alternative. It was just basically to rebuild the building we just took down. As you can see, it's a larger footprint, and it still has the pavement and the maneuvering areas within 100 feet of the wetlands, which we're going to pull all that away. If there's any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Okay, let's start with Kelly. You had some comments and questions. Has your stuff been answered to your satisfaction?
Yeah, Manny's already answered those, and I've included those answers in your memo, so hopefully I'll review them.
Any other questions?
I do,
Mr. McCann.
Mr. Chairman. The drainage flow pattern is from,
So right now it's in the center of the site, and it kind of flows out to the street. It doesn't flow to the back. If that's, I mean,
Right.
there's some
is it,
area that comes kind of to the south, I would say, but nothing necessarily directed towards the wetland.
in your grading plan, is it possible to create a minor berm on the rear part of the property to assure that there's no sheet runoff? We're talking about not sheet,
You're supposed to shut up. Sorry.
So right now, yes, yeah, we could actually put a berm here along the property line to stop any sheet flow going to the wetlands? Is that what?
Yes, is
Yeah,
that
from that
possible?
landscaped area? Yeah. So right now, the only thing that we're proposing that would possibly go into that wetland would be that loamed and seeded area.
Yeah, but while you're loaming and seeding it, just add a little bit more
Correct.
loam.
Correct. Yeah, on the
It
edge.
doesn't have to be feet, like I say.
No, no.
Literally anything that just
Yeah.
keeps the sheet runoff from running that direction.
Correct. We'll keep that on our site. We'll be happy to do that.
Can you add that to the application?
Yeah, that will be we can make that a condition. That we'll put
Yeah.
a small,
We'll
we'll
make that
put
a
like a
condition.
6-inch, 12-inch berm on the
Yeah,
backside.
that's all.
That's
Yeah.
fine, we can make that a condition.
And you said, there's not a loading ramp there, there's just a truck?
Yeah, there's two garage doors here that have, it's basically a loading dock, you know, but no ramp.
Okay, the vehicles just go up to the door?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there a catch basin there?
There is one here.
Okay. We're always concerned about loading ramps and trucks and problems, spills.
Correct, yeah. So,
And we try to get the catch basins in the least vulnerable spot, and at least to a point where you can contain anything that may be a mishap.
right, so if there was to have some kind of spill, again, there's hoods in this basin, which will catch most of the oils, and then what we can actually do is we can isolate the system right here at the control structure, right? At the weir wall, we can just,
Do you have a management plan for this, the whole
yes,
system?
yeah,
You do?
maintenance and, yep, it's actually right here.
That's going to carry with any future businesses that go in there?
Correct, I think one of the standard conditions is that we file that on the land records.
Okay. No,
I have a question, kind of off of Bill's question. So are there gonna be tractor-trailer trucks that are going in there, or the smaller?
Yeah, it's gonna be I think it's gonna be the smaller type, right? The smaller, like 40-foot type. It's not gonna be like a interstate tractor trailer or anything like that. It's just to bring in, you know, some material here and there when because they are more of an R&D type of thing, but they might have to move some equipment or something like that in.
So are you gonna have to, when you have tenants going in there, are you gonna specifically say to them, you can only bring in trucks up to 40 feet?
So it's only one it's the owner.
It's the owner?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's it. Owner-operator,
Okay.
yeah.
All right, and my other question are you gonna be building during the winter?
Are you building during the winter?
Don't know yet, depends on how the bank loan goes, but we were trying to build as soon as possible.
Yeah. I mean, between here and then going to zoning, it's probably March, April.
So if we have a major snowstorm, do you have provisions for that, if the snow goes over everything you have set up there?
Right, so, usually we're not gonna do any concrete work or paving in the winter, right? So it's probably gonna be, we're gonna have to wait till the springtime. I mean, there might be some preliminary excavation going on, and that usually isn't an issue for snow.
Okay.
We'll just have to remove it. Yeah, I think it's safe to say that any concrete work or asphalt most likely will not happen in the winter. Yeah,
All right, thank you.
yep, no problem.
Anything else? All right, so. We need to render a decision on the significance of this application and whether or not it warrants a public hearing. Pardon me? We accepted it, yeah. Mr. Cinto?
I don't feel, this is pretty cut and dry. I don't feel it warrants a public hearing. They're keeping us all on site. It came before my commission last week, and everything's gonna be confined indoors. And I don't see any reason for a public hearing. They're all
Well,
factories and stuff around.
would you like to put that in form
I'd
of a
like to
motion?
make a motion.
We have a second? Second, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, so we don't need a public hearing. Now, since we don't need a public hearing, we can render a decision on this application tonight. I'd entertain a motion.
I make a motion to accept it, approve it.
I'll second the motion.
Second?
Do you also want with the stipulation,
Well, we have one stipulation.
right, that they add the verb?
We had, you had a
Yeah, berm on the
reverse slope toward the wetland.
property.
Yeah, on the west side.
Yeah, the applicant agreed to, yes.
So we have a motion to accept, to approve it with that one stipulation.
Second the motion?
We have a second by Mr. Wade. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. You're all set.
Thank you very
very much. Have a good evening.
Moving along. Now, new business, we're gonna do the, yeah. Under new business, I don't think we have anything, but I'd like to introduce under new business our proposed schedule of meetings for the next year. All we have to do is vote on them and then submit them to the council clerk, I believe. Town clerk, I'm sorry. So, I mean,
Motion to accept?
I'm not sure I'm going to be available on April 13th, but who knows? Right, so what's the
What's
difference?
April
Looks fine to me. We have a motion, we have a second? All in favor? Okay, so that takes care of that. You'll take care of getting that submitted, right, Kelly? All right. Any other new business? None. Hearing none. Staff reports, Kelly, you have anything?
Yes, so we'll start, I have an update on the 350 Whipperware Lane permit. And we don't need to go into executive session for this, I confirmed with their attorneys. We are going to, as long as you all agree, begin the process of revoking their permit and then seeking additional penalties. Because the permit for 350 Whipperware Lane included some of the remediation for some of the damages that they incurred on the property. We're just going to move forward and revoking it and incurring.
Did we do that already? No, we
No, we never revoked the permit,
I
no.
don't think so, no.
So, I mean,
We
this fall.
imposed a
under-
fine, which I don't, they probably didn't pay.
And there was an initial fine when.
Wasn't much, $500.
Yeah, it was really minor. We did have our attorneys, because I did try sending a certified letter to an address in Greenwich. That was the last known address that we had for them, and it was returned twice. And the attorneys have found 3 different addresses that they believe that the permit holder may live at. So we're going to send certified letters to all 3 of those addresses, asking them to come to our next meeting, to have a hearing to discuss revoking the permit. That was what the attorneys have advised.
Sounds like we need Dog the Bounty Hunter. So, are they current on their taxes? Probably.
They're not,
So
since
the town's gonna end up
2017.
foreclosing the property. Which is fine, then they can offer it to the neighbors, a piece of
It
the.
was the Pat Sullivan, who we typically, deal with here,
Anything else, Kelly?
That was it on 350 Whipperwell. I just wanted to make you folks aware. I'm going to be preparing that shortly and sending it to them.
I happened to go by there the other day. The last time we went for a site visit, there was a boat on the property. I don't know whose boat it is, but the boat is now from up here down below, sitting off to the side. Is that his property? Is it, I'm just,
Yeah.
that boat is still sitting there
Yeah,
on the trailer.
I'm not sure whose boat that
Got one
is.
on the boat
Okay.
here.
I can find out. Friggin' boat ramp.
It's,
Yeah, right.
We'll get there eventually.
Global warming, it'll be a while, but it'll be there.
They're preppers.
That's
You
right.
do. Yeah.
the only point I'm making is,
Great.
if it's his, and he's, I don't know, can we just take it and pawn it, or?
I'm,
The last thing you want to do is to take a derelict boat. believe me.
I'm surprised nobody's complaining.
I'm not sure. We can ask
I bet you
them.
it belongs to the neighbor.
Well,
Yeah, it could be the neighbors. They're just storing it on their property, honestly.
are you going to set up what the penalty will be, the monetary penalty will be?
I'm not sure. I think the attorneys want them to come to discuss with us so that we can have a dialogue, because they haven't been able to come here. I mean, they know where we are,
Yeah.
obviously, and they know how to reach us,
We-
but
And we made some preliminary observations of what they should be doing in terms of remediation, and I think, we have to use that as kind of the template, and whatever the cost would be to get to that point. And that would include not only materials, but labor, and hiring, okay.
Certainly.
As long as we're.
One meeting.
yeah.
And removal of a boat.
Whoever voted may be.
I mean, on the other hand, if they're not paying their taxes, the thing's gonna end up in tax foreclosure. So, and you know what, if you're not gonna pay a debt and it's $1,000, make it 5,000, what's the difference? Right? I'm not paying it anyway.
Right, I always said that.
That's right. Right, exactly. You got some administrative permit?
Oh, I'm not done yet. At the request of Dr. Chess, Conservation Commission is currently working on a native planting guide to include species that we wish that folks will not plant, invasives and the like, non-natives, and that is officially underway. Not much else to discuss there, but I did want to, I don't know if you would like to come to the next meeting of the Conservation Commission? Okay.
I kind of invited him earlier this evening
Oh, good.
to jump in online and discuss it with us. I think he said yes.
Yeah, I just don't know when, I don't know when you guys meet, so if you could send me an invite.
Yep. It's the second Tuesday of the month, so I'm not sure what day that is, but I'll email you the memo and everything when it's ready, or the agenda rather.
Great. And any preliminary proposals, you can send also.
Yeah, we literally just started discussing it, so there's nothing quite ready yet, but I'll send that to you. What else? I haven't been able to recommend release of any of these performance bonds yet, still going back and forth with a lot of the permit holders. And then going into my administrative report, I've issued 2 permits, one for a shed within the Upland Riviera at Beaver Dam Lake, and then one for a permit modification to install groundwater monitoring wells at Sikorsky Aircraft as part of their remedial project that's going on currently. And that's all.
That's it?
That's all I got.
Okay. Commissioners Forum?
I have a question of
Oh,
the
excuse me?
superintendent.
Yes, sir.
Holly Lane, have you been up there?
Not recently, but I do understand the construction's underway.
They're doing work, yes.
Is this on where the house was?
Yes.
Yeah, they're putting in fill, they're moving on back, and I went by there today, and it looks like they're dangerously close to where they represented it was going to end, but, so
Okay.
if you could look into that,
Yep.
it might be of interest.
Or do you wish to go there as well, or do you want just me to handle it?
No, thank you.
Okay, all right, I'll coordinate with Jim on that, that's not a problem.
Put your Groucho nose on if you go. Anything else?
It's Jim Fitzpatrick.
What was the decision on the Whippool for the permits?
Revoke them.
I'm going to prepare a letter, we're gonna send it certified to all those 3 different addresses, asking them to come for a public hearing to discuss why we believe we should revoke the permit, and,
They won't.
yeah, we'll see.
Anything else under Commissioners Forum?
Could I make a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Motion to adjourn?
Second the motion?
Thank you all. Very, 7:26, I told you, 7:30. Thank you.